Hello everybody, welcome to the second and final part of Scorching Touch. Now the same content warnings that were in the first part still apply to this part as well. This part will get angsty, but there is a happy ending, so no need to worry. And I won't hold you guys up any longer, so let's go ahead and get to it. Hello my lovely viewers. Looking for some affordable and good quality anime merch? Want to support your favorite Haikyuu team or join UA? What about joining the Straw Hat Pirates for an adventure or two? Want to join the Black Wolves or the Fairy Tale Guild? Well, this site has that and so much more. Use my discount code and receive 10% off your entire order. Link and code is in the description. Thank you so much for watching. It was hot. So very hot. Suna stayed low to the ground, breathing into his jacket that was quickly starting to reek of smoke and soot. The only thing keeping him aware of his state was the agonizing heat and the trickle of blood down his neck from the open gash on his head. Just when he was starting to accept his fate, Suna's heart skipped a beat, hearing the voice of his lover. Komori. No. That meant Komori was inside. Was he trapped too? Toya. Go. Another round of painful coughs racked through his lungs that desperately craved oxygen. Hoping that his voice got through and maybe he would leave, Suna became stunned when the Libero jumped over the wall of flames to get to him. The smaller was covered in soot and had a shirt covering his mouth, but seemed to only do little. Finally meeting each other's gaze, Komori dropped to his knees, crouching down to the taller. Guys, are you okay? The support beams of their home was barely holding up. It creaked loudly, threatening to cave over them. Komori slapped his hands over the raven's legs to peel out the small embers on his pants and pulled him to his feet. The inaudible groan emitted from the middle blocker was reason enough to tell Komori that Suna was out of it and couldn't walk. Wrapping his arm around him, he began leading him out of the flames. Hoping to reach the exit, Komori gasped, regretting it instantly seeing their front door engulfed in flames. Sweat made their clothes stick to their skin, and their labored breathing only made their situation worse. Suna had long since lost the ability to move on his own, and Komori wasn't too far from him. His vision became impaired for the mix of tears and oxygen deprivation. Come on, just a bit farther. He just needed to get where he came from, but froze, noticing that path swallowed by fire. They were trapped. There was no way out. The exhausted Libero crumbled to his knees once more, but this time he didn't get back up. He held desperately close to the raven who wheezed into the crook of his neck. You shouldn't have come in. The pain gasped a breath in between Suna's strangled words shattered Komori's heart. What hurt more than that was the fact he knew neither of them would find the relief they needed. Don't be ridiculous. I'm not leaving you. Instinctively, he tugged the taller's limp body closer, acting as a sort of shield for when the flames do reach them. You're such a fool. A fool with a kind heart that always thought of others before himself. Honestly, Suna shouldn't have even been surprised and tightened his hold on the Libero. This time, the tears weren't involuntary. They were real and genuine, filled with raw emotion. I'm sorry. The rising heat, drawing closer to them, only reminded them of their fates, quickly catching up to them. I'm so sorry. Komori weakly smiled and closed his eyes. It's okay. Just close your eyes. He pressed a wet kiss to Suna's brow.
It'll be over soon. I love you. And
Suna gasped at the bright inferno grazing his ankles, and the pain only intensified from there.
I'm sorry. I couldn't save you.
The middle blocker laughed painfully, wiping his lover's tears with his thumb sliding across his cheeks.
I could never blame you.
A pained groan slipped through his lips, feeling the flames dance around them. They held each other closer, submitting to their impending doom of the scorching touch. Suna couldn't help but think of Osamu. What would he think? How would he? He wouldn't just be losing one of them, but both of his lovers. He knew the pain would be great. I only wished him the best. His teasing words from their call only minutes ago still echoed in his mind. If only he knew that would be the last he'd hear of the younger twin, he would have cherished it more than he did. Finally listened to Komori's words, Suna reluctantly closed his eyes, gazing at the Libero one last time, allowing himself to become the victim to the blazing inferno. Running was the only thing he could do. It was only in that moment Osamu desperately wished he stuck to doing at least the bare minimum to keep up his shape. Back in high school, he could run easily with no problem. Now, his sides ached painfully, but none of that mattered. This wasn't how the day was supposed to end. Osamu was supposed to leave the store and be home by 7, just as he promised Suna. But then Atsumu ended up stopping by the store, and being the leech he is, ended up getting free food from him. When his phone began ringing with the unknown cell number, he picked it up not thinking much. But the call had made his blood freeze over, and his mind forget how to function. He dropped the box of onigiris he packed for Atsumu in his hand. The box hit the floor with a thud, ruining their perfect triangular form. Atsumu was about to give him absolute hell for it, but noticed his twin's pale complexion. Samu? Not hearing a response, the blonde walked behind the counter and shook his brother's shoulder. Samu, snap out of it. What's...
It's Rin and Toya. Oh my god. I have to...
Whoa, breathe. Take deep breaths. What's with Suna Komori?
Hospital.
Atsuma's eyes slightly widened, but understood. He grabbed Osamu's car keys and his own bag, leading him out the door. Come on, let's go.
No, I need to... hospital.
That's where I'm taking you. The younger twin had gone into shock from the call and wasn't sure how to even process the news, let alone drive. Thankfully, Atsumu had driven while recklessly making a call to Sakusa to let him know about his cousin. The drive had become a blur, and before he knew it, they were at the receptionist, where he was finally able to find his voice. Good afternoon. Are you checking in or visiting?
Visiting. I received a call that my partners were taken here by ambulance. I'm their emergency contact.
The receptionist clacked away at her keyboard. For once, he was thankful that Atsumu was hovering over his shoulder. It was the only thing grounding him. What are the names?
Suna Rentaro and Komori Motoya.
There was another agonizing string of silence while the receptionist studied the screen further. Impatient, Osamu spoke up again.
Do you know their state? Are they okay?
It seems Komori is doing just fine and is receiving treatment as we speak. Luckily, he wasn't in the fire for too long, and the blood test and chest x-rays came back good. Osamu let out a sigh of relief, still trying to wrap his head around the fire taking his home and almost his world.
What about Rin? The receptionist clicked a few times, pulling up Suna's records.
It seems his case is a bit more extensive, although still stable. Blood tests came back showing signs of carbon monoxide poisoning from long exposure to the fire, and a small infection in his lungs that he's currently receiving antibiotics for. It appears he has a mild concussion and some external cuts along his arms. Luckily, they were rescued in time and only suffer from first-degree burns. Any later, and I can't say how much damage it could have caused both internally and externally. Both are stable and receiving the best care. You can relax. They are in safe hands. The kind receptionist smiled warmly, offering some sort of light and comfort to such a daunting series of events.
Thank you. What is the room number?
Oh right, of course. Let's see.
Osama reached for his brother's arms to stable himself. Even after hearing the news that his partners were stable and going to be okay, his hands still shook in fear.
If you go down the hall, you'll see an elevator to the left. Take that to the 3rd floor. Their room is 317.
After expressing his immense gratitude, Osama pushed his aching legs to the elevator. He anxiously waited for the elevator to finish carrying them to the 3rd floor, and for a moment, he considered that he should have just went with the stairs when the doors opened. Osama looked around, finding the room. He shuddered upon opening the door. Komori was awake and functioning, merely just dirty, twirling metal suit covering him, and an IV stuck out of his arm along with other wires monitoring his vitals. Suna, however, was still unconscious and had a mask supplying him pure oxygen. A lot more wires and cables surrounded him. Oh, Samu. A mothered sob emitted from Osama's throat, and he wrapped the smaller into a tight hug, afraid he slipped away from him if he let go. He couldn't let go. Not after a close call like that. I swear, don't ever scare me like that again. The libero chuckled, followed by a round of rough coughing. You're such a big baby. What the hell even happened? He ignored the taunt and asked a much steeper question. I don't know. The fire was there when I got home. I tried calling Ren to make sure he was out. I'm so glad I found him though. You were lucky. I thought... Komori's lips thinned into a tight line. I thought we were going to die. But apparently someone had called for help after seeing the smoke. Then help arrived. Osama bit his lip, trying not to imagine what his lovers must have felt like in the face of death, when they had no other choice but to submit to its deathly clutches. But that was easier said than done. It's okay. You're okay now. Both of you are. Thank the gods. He wasn't sure if he was comforting Komori or assuring himself that this nightmare was over, but he kept whispering those same words, even after Sakusa ran into the room and took his place comforting Komori. Osamu walked over to Suna upon seeing the raven still awake. Fuck. Letting out a sigh of relief, the tension in Osama's shoulders lessened and took a hold of the middle blocker's hand. You alright, Ren? Do you remember what happened? The raven grimaced, knowing the cause of the fire. He was the cause. Because of him, he and his lover nearly died, and they lost their home. I'm sorry. He gasped, feeling the younger twin pull him into a bone-crushing, desperate hug that reminded him of Komori's embrace when they were facing death. I don't give two shits about the house. We can always find a new one. But you are one of a kind, and I don't know what I would do if I lost you. You are home. What are we gonna do?
Tsukisa was promptly wiping the dark spots of soot from his cousin's face with a rag, making sure to rid him of the mess, but also gentle enough to not irritate his skin further. You don't have a home anymore, but I can talk to Shin, and I don't think he will mind having you all crash with us a bit. Well, I didn't want to reveal this just yet, but I'm not really given the choice. I've been working some extra hours lately, not just making onigiri, but to renovate upstairs. Atsumu tilted his head in confusion, remembering upstairs used to be an old tattoo shop before the old owner passed away and was eventually sold off to help with debt. I'm confused. Isn't it for sale? The younger twin smiled proudly. Not anymore. I bought it.
You bought it?
Osamu inwardly cringed, hearing his lover succumb into another coughing fit.
Where did you get the money for that?
Well, I have a steep savings, and have been saving to buy us a better place. I've been renovating upstairs so that we can live there. I know our landlords have been giving us shit, and honestly, I don't think we are exactly welcome back. But at least this way, we don't have to deal with any landlords. We will have a home that is ours, and only ours.
Wait, what are you saying, Samu?
I'm saying, in about a week, we should be able to move into our new home. If Suna had the capability to gasp, he would. Until then, we will take care of everything. Suna laid back in bed, still trying to wrap his head around the series of events that occurred within just the span of 2 hours. But he didn't have to think on it too hard. Both he and Komori were thankfully alive. While recovery will be tricky, he knows he's in good hands. Because he's home. And home isn't just a building. Osamu and Komori was his home. Well, that is the final part to this little 2-shot here. Again, it was supposed to be a 1-shot, but I got carried away. Hopefully you guys like it, so let me know what you guys think in the comments. Once again, I want to thank all of my lovely deckers. You guys are super duper duper amazing. Like, I literally love you guys so much. Alright, I will see you guys next time.